Um, so I go over, and I look in the mirror, and I wasn't planning to say this, but all of a sudden I'm like, I want to go red, make it red. I want to be all red. I want to be back in touch with myself as a redhead. But then it doesn't come out the right color. It comes out sort of the color of an old penny, and it's really awful. And then I had to go in the next day and go through this whole treatment to get it removed and to get back to this sort of blonde that you see in the pictures. It's not really, when people call me a blonde or say I have blonde hair, to me, I look in the mirror, I don't even see it as blonde. But I'm aware that other people see it as blonde, and when people call me a blonde, all of that stuff, it doesn't register with me. My sister had blonde hair. My sister was the blonde. I was the redhead. This is a big part of my personal identity, that I was the redhead. You might be out there looking for amazing adventures, wondering why life doesn't get more exciting. But you can look at just whatever is right in front of you. Anything. The table, the tree out the window that I'm looking at, the almost a sunset streak across the sky, the bird that flies across the outside the window. All these things are quite amazing. Video viewers can see that I have a glass of wine. I'm going to take a sip of a glass of wine. I think your emotions and your mind, your brain, change as you get older, just like your hair changes, and that I really did just get over having that feeling. But I certainly remember it, and I remember it enough to maybe have some idea what it might be like to be the kind of person that hears voices in your head. And so I'm willing to believe, as I read in this New York Times article, that there are people who really do hear a voice, and they cannot connect it to their own thoughts. It really feels like a second voice in their head, someone else who may even be claiming to be someone else, like an angel or a devil or something, or God. I think I can understand how that might be. It's a little weird to imagine it, but I think I can understand how it could happen to someone who had some kind of a brain abnormality, right? Maybe like a lesion on their brain or some kind of a brain injury. There was also an article in today's Times about multitasking. And did you know that the brain cannot concentrate on two things at once? You can have a lot of things going on at the same time, like music playing in the background, people talking at the next table in the cafe. And, I want to show you, for you who are on the audio clip, what it looks like outside the window, because it's really pretty. It's just getting pink out there. I was talking about the line of clouds across the sky, and it was just gray before, but as it gets darker in this room, it's getting all pink. I hope that showed. I hope that showed in the audio clip. But multitasking, as you get older, the brain can only concentrate on one thing at a time. Do you like to concentrate, or do you like to be in a swirl of lots of different things, jumping around to different websites, listening to the music in the background, of course, tasting your coffee, eating your food, thinking about the past, having a different song running through your head, hearing your phone ring and thinking about who's on the phone, worrying about your next assignment, trying to get this one done, feeling anxiety about, you read something, you're trying to understand what you're reading, but the words that you're reading evoke something about the past. You hit a word that was a word in an argument in the past. And so all of that distracts you, but you can really only concentrate on one thing at a time. Like right now, and I can really only talk about one thing at a time, but I try to remember the different threads I'm trying to get back to. Do you have some words that are really important, significant words to you, that mean a lot to you, that have played an important role in your life? For example, so that if you were reading something, let's say you're doing your homework or you're preparing your class for tomorrow, as I was doing today, you might run across a word that was like a key word in an argument. I got in an argument back in 1982. Won't embarrass anybody by talking about, but I did something later that night, and some people know what it was, that had a big effect on the entire rest of my life and on other people's lives as well. And one of the most important things I ever did in my life, well, you can guess what it is in the comments to this blog, or you can just think about it, or see if my voice continues after the podcast and tells you what the secret is. But as a result of using of that argument, where the word unscrupulous was right in the middle of it. I did something that had a huge effect on all the whole structure of my life. And so if I'm reading, doing my homework, and I run across the word unscrupulous, obviously one of the things that's going to break up my concentration on one thing is that I'm going to have to think of this whole set of events. The fight I had with the guy, my friend laughing at me, this other thing that I did because I was all fired up after having a fight. You know how when you have a fight and then you go into another situation, and does that affect what you do in the other situation? Are you going to behave differently, maybe recklessly, with great consequence, because you had a fight in an earlier scene in that evening's movie? So, if you have a lover that you are hoping will call you on the phone, and you haven't heard from him in a long time, the ringing of the telephone can just jolt all your nerves alive in a way that if you're not expecting anyone exciting to call, the phone just doesn't have the same effect. So I think younger people may have more things like that, sexual things, or maybe things about work or jobs that are very exciting to them. So that it's just a different kind of, it's more like a big explosion or something like that. Whereas when you're older, if the phone rings or there's a text message, it's not likely to involve something that's really going to change your life, like that thing that you did that night when you called the garage attendant unscrupulous.